Morning, afternoon, evening. Passive Income Tom bringing this quick little video. Today's a special day. Not my ordinary Friday video, but today I'm bringing you Kevin from Alyssa Adventures in Us. Today he's going to talk about 3 little areas you need to really hear about. Frugalism, minimalism, and how to live an ordinary life. Alright, so before we get started, pause the video right here. Pause it right here. Go down and subscribe to his channel. Alright, subscribe to his channel. And if you're new to my channel, subscribe to my channel as well. Alright, and then once you've done that, let's get started right now.
Hey guys, how's it going? It's Adventures in Us, and I'm Kevin. Usually on our channel, we like to talk about the average investor and how they can achieve the FIRE movement. And we're trying to achieve that through passive income like investing and YouTube. We strive to inspire and motivate people to invest so they can also achieve financial independence before the age of 65 or so. Now, I'm not a financial advisor, but this is the steps that I took to learn about the markets. First off, if you have any high-paying interests like credit cards or anything like that, anything really over 3.5%. Go ahead and pay those off first. Reason being, let's say the average return of the market is about 7 to 9%. Now we're talking about the long term, so 10, 20, 30 years out. Reason being is because that debt is going to chip away at your returns on your investments, especially those credit cards that are up there at 18, 20%. Okay, let's do some quick math real fast. So the market compounds at 8% a year, and let's say you have debt that's accumulating at 6% a year for the next 10 years. To make the math easy, let's say that the amount that you have to pay off is the same amount that you're going to invest. So what's going to happen is the market is going to appreciate and you're going to make money in your stock portfolio and get a return of, let's say, 8%. Then of course you have your debt, so you have to pay that at 6%. So in return, your portfolio is not making 8%, it's actually making 2% because 8 minus 6. Okay, so let's say that you invested about $500 a month every single month for the next 10 years. In total, you've invested about $60,000. Okay, so if the market is gaining at 2% because you have to pay off your debt, the money that you actually make is about $66,408. So about a $6,000 gain. Okay, so now let's say you pay off your debt and then you invest for the 10 years. What ends up happening is instead of making $6,000, your total portfolio is going to be about $90,642. That's way better than the first scenario. So the first thing I did to get started in the market was pay off any outstanding debt that was over 3.5% in interest. Peace, credit cards. The second myth is that you need a large sum of money to start investing. All you really need is time. Let me prove it to you with a 30-year horizon. So we decided to invest $500 every single month for the next 30 years. So that means in total of those 30 years, we've invested $180,000 over the lifetime of this stock market portfolio. That is a lot of money, but you know what is more than that? The amount that our portfolio is worth now. After all those years of grinding it out and putting away $500 a month, and now our portfolio is worth $708,806, nearly 7 times what we put in. But let's do this for a second. Let's take away 10 years. Let's say we waited 10 years because we know in 10 years those are going to be our highest earning years and we can catch up by adding more money. Well, that logic would be false because here's what actually starts to happen. Okay, let's say that now that we delay it 10 years and we have 20 years to start investing. But since it's our highest earning years, we're gonna double the amount that we put in every month and we're gonna put in $1,000. So that means by the end of those 20 years, we end up investing $240,000, a lot more from the last scenario. In the last scenario, we invest $180,000. But in this scenario, we invested $240,000 and what we end up with at the end of it is about $572,660. So what this scenario is saying is that we invested way more, double the amount, and we still end up with less. Compound interest is a powerful thing as long as you use it correctly and start early. You can always make more money, but you can't make more time. Now, step 3 that I took is that I had to figure out what kind of investor I wanted to be. Now, somebody in their 20s like me can assume a lot more risks. so we can get into stocks like Micron, Nvidia, and maybe some speculative stocks. Now, somebody in their late 50s may not want to risk their returns on Tesla, let's say, or Uber or Lyft stock. Maybe they're more of a dividend investor, so they're going to invest into McDonald's or Chevron or safe utility companies. But again, it's not to say that people in their 20s can't do dividends or bonds. It depends also on your risk tolerance. Now for me, I'm a mixture of both. I have a little bit of dividends, but more growth, just because I like to assume a little bit more risk, but not a lot of risk. But I'm gonna be honest, right now, my portfolio is a little bit volatile, so I might switch a little bit more into dividend investing. Maybe finding individual stocks and researching on those companies isn't for you. Indexes or ETFs may be another choice for you. Figure out what kind of investor you want to be, and then go find those books and research in that direction. Speaking of indexes, let's move over to number 4. I would research how indexes and ETFs work. The reason being is because you can start investing as soon as possible. The chances of the investor or the beginner investor beating the S&P or the market is very slim. In fact, even professional investors and professional fund managers can't even do this. So if you want that 8% compound interest that we were talking about earlier, usually the market does that. And ETFs and indexes just simply buy the market and whatever it returns. Pretty cool. But this is where it gets kind of interesting because we start overlapping into the FIRE movement content that our channel really talks about. This is called the Trinity study, and it says that if you invest 25 times your annual expenses into an index fund or the S&P basically, that you essentially can become financially independent. And those investments through dividends and selling some capital gains off, you can essentially live off that interest for the next 30 years or so, financially independent. This is disregarding wherever you're at in your life. Sounds pretty interesting, huh? If it does sound interesting, click our link down in the description and come on over while we explain what the FIRE movement is. But just to conclude or reiterate point 4, indexes and ETFs are the way to go for beginners. Number 5, and then we'll go into our last point and we'll tell you where you can get started. Well, this video took me a little bit longer to record, so this is the next day, that's why I'm in different clothes. Life of a small YouTuber, am I right? But the last advice that I would give you is read. For beginner investors, they usually get recommended books like The Intelligent Investor, but it can be a little bit heavy, so I'm gonna go one under that and give you an easier book. This one will dip your toes in there and get you aware of what's going on in the overall markets. It's called Investing for the Rest of Us. Now in this book, they go through passive ways that you can invest in the stock market. So let's say you don't like to look at balance sheets and all that stuff. Well, they're going to talk about indexes and ETFs and different ways to form them, such as the Margarita Fund, the Lazy Fund, and the Yale Fund. In that book, they talk about all the funds, not just those 3 that I mentioned, and their statistics and returns of what they give you in the long run. They talk about index funds versus mutual fund managers and how often that those indexes beat those mutual fund managers. Now in the short term, it can be very easy to beat the stock market, but in the long run, most of the time, people fail to beat the markets consistently year after year. It's a really short read, but it's a very important book to understand. And the last bonus tip is, cliche as it sounds, just start. We saw the power of compound interest and the cost of you actually waiting. Now, if you're interested in that passive way of investing, then come on over the channel. We're gonna make a series on index funds and different ways you can use them pretty soon. Again, we're just an average investor. We document our trades, our investments, and we try to achieve something through the FIRE movement. So if you're interested in that and you want to follow our journey, come on over. You're definitely welcome to join the community. But Tom, thanks a lot for having me on the channel.
All right. How'd you like that video? Great video, wasn't it? All right. If you haven't already, subscribe to his channel down below. If you're new to my channel, subscribe to my channel as well. And but this Friday, I'm bringing you a passive income video you need to check out. So I'll see you again. Enjoy your week.